I learned a lot of things. First of all, I did not know there was that many computers in Lassen County because I've had thousands of emails. But the underlying tone of a lot of the emails is how can we allow this to happen, and I could go into some of the things that have caused this to happen, such as what they'd said there. We did not know about this, not even in the slightest. We get compared now to Modoc County, we get compared to San Joaquin, we get compared to Tehama County, and the biggest difference, in fact the only difference really, is that they had a lot of lead time. I don't know if that's why we didn't have lead time, but we didn't. I was on a horse in the mountains on a posse ride, and I got a call from the Secretary of Corrections, which is the guy that has coffee every morning with the governor. And he said, we have to talk. And to tell you the truth, I thought it was on a different topic, a budget topic, and it ended up being this. And myself and the Sheriff-elect Dean Droughton have been talking with these guys every day since then, including all day yesterday. And we have never one time said it's okay. We've never one time been asked. We've never accepted it. And I've thrown out many, many suggestions back to them on what they could do to fix this. And I truly believe we got a good relationship with CDCR. We got a good relationship with the Secretary. And I probably shouldn't say this, but I got a pretty good relationship with the governor. And I think they're going to listen to what it is that we have to say. They did not know what our county looked like. They did not know what our resources are. And like I said, I've had 2 conversations with the Secretary's office this morning already, still suggesting alternatives, still looking at the options and see what it is that we can do. And this is a long ways from over. I don't know how it's going to pan out. I don't know if the guy lands here or not. I've made some suggestions on where he should land, including a couple where he should land without a parachute. Probably shouldn't have said that, but that's part of what our conversation was. And everyone's involved in this. The Chief of Police, Jeff Atkinson, he was in our conference call yesterday, and he gave the same kind of information to the Secretary as we're doing. Nobody's laid down. And I wish I could say that I'm going to prevail, and I don't know if I'm going to prevail at that level or not, but I know they listen to us. He listens to us all the time, and I hope that he does. I hope he listens to some of our suggestions. But if not, then the burden that I'm going to be placed with, and the burden then that Dean's going to be placed with shortly after this, in January at least, is to provide 2 things. One is going to be very popular, and that's going to be providing for the public safety. The other one is going to be providing for his safety, and that's probably not going to be near as popular. I didn't say I agreed with it. I said that's our obligation. And that's one of the things I shared with the Secretary. I don't want him here. And right now, I got a pretty good feeling we're going to prevail. And if not, then, we're going to do everything we can to take care of what our obligations are going to be. Anyway, I hope that explains a few things. I hope the people that sent me emails appreciate what I sent back. But we're not sleeping. The board's not. The chief's not. I'm not. Right now, the only people that were sleeping on this were in Sacramento.
The county council is going to give you...
Actually, I'm not sure I understood what you were asking. How the other counties have more notice than us? First of all, what ends up happening, the guy, you guys are all aware of what happens to him. He's on there on multiple murders. He gets 78 years in prison. There's a flaw in the system. I think system, not the investigation. They send it back to the trial court to try again. And instead of being tried, the guy pleads guilty to a lesser included and calls it voluntary manslaughter. Gets 14 years, does a penance of that, and all of a sudden he's getting out. Everyone knew he's going to get out. A high-profile guy. The law calls for a guy to parole to the county of commitment where the crimes were committed or where he resides. In this case, it was both. Well, what happens there then is, obviously from some of the testimony we've heard here today of people that knew these people, there was so many people affected, so many victims' families, and geographically it was nearly impossible. So this started weeks and weeks and weeks ago. So then they start looking for other alternatives. And when they're looking for other alternatives, this is not something they sit around at the CDCR or in the governor's office and say, okay, here's all the possibilities, let everyone know. What they end up doing is, they end up, I wouldn't say, hit list is a poor word for that, but they have a target list of places this guy could be placed. We were never on that list. We were never made aware that we could be a possibility. In fact, I'm not sure that Modoc was. I think maybe the Modoc took the initiative because of what happened in '84. I think that Marin County probably took an initiative because of what happened with Singleton and going to San Quentin. And Contra Costa, some of the case law that she's talking about, they may have known that stuff was coming too. It was not even the slightest possibility that that guy was going to land in our county unless he landed in one of our prisons for something else. Now, I don't know how they knew or had that potential, but I can tell you, the sheriff of Tehama County did not file an injunction, and he did not go in there and bang on the Supreme Court's desk, and he didn't do a bunch of other things I've heard. He's doing exactly what we're doing, and I called him yesterday morning to find out, is there some secret here on how we can force this guy to not come here? How did you prevail? And he said, I talked to the director of paroles, which we have. I've talked to the director of paroles, which we have. And I talked to the Secretary of Corrections, Matt Kate, which I have now numerous times, including getting a quick text back from his office after I showed him a picture of the 500 people in here. And all I got was a wow, a gosh, and we're still working, we're looking at options. But to answer that question, I don't know how they would know ahead of us, but they did. And another thing would be, is if the Secretary of Corrections or the Director of Paroles wanted to place a guy in a county, it would be proper for them to go to the county officials. I think it's very proper for them to go to the sheriff of that county. And I'm not going to say this is what happened, and I can only speculate, and like I said, I have a lot of faith that they're still working with us hard, but if the secretary goes to a county, like San Joaquin, like they had to, and it's a no, 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 and they can show it because they have a legal right, then they go to another county.